My name is Henry Whitaker, and I'm 115 years old this year. God, sometimes I sit here, and I still can't believe it myself. I'm the last one left standing at this broken party of life that fell apart years ago. Everyone I ever loved is gone, and everyone I ever hated is gone too. My wife Anna went first, then my old friends, then even those guys I used to despise back in the day. Before they closed their eyes, every single one of them asked me the same question. What's your secret, Henry? And I always gave them the exact same answer. Clean food, that's what I'm sure of. But now, after all these years sitting here alone thinking it over, I realize I was dead wrong. People who ate perfectly, exercised for hours every day, and followed every strict health rule, still left just as fast as the ones who ate whatever they wanted. So where was the real difference? I've had more than enough time to think about it, and the answer has nothing to do with the plate of food on the table. Diet was never the key to a long life. When I was young, about the same age as you kids now, I was absolutely convinced that healthy eating would fix every problem. It was only after I lost the people I loved that I finally understood a lot of things. My name is Henry Whitaker. I drove a taxi for 41 years in the town of Oakwood, Illinois. I still wake up at 6 o'clock every morning and make myself a pot of strong black coffee. I still sit in this old leather chair I've been sitting in for 47 years now, looking out the window and remembering those familiar roads. People come to visit me, reporters, doctors, neighbors, and they all want just one thing, the list. What do you eat, Henry? How many hours do you sleep? Do you take vitamins? I give them the list. They write it down carefully, smiling, and then they leave. I'll give you that list too. But if I stop there, you'll walk away with a smile on your face and miss the whole story. You know, that list is pretty simple. 2 fried eggs with real butter every morning, real beef twice a week, fresh vegetables from the garden out back, toasted bread nice and crisp, plain water, black coffee with no sugar, no protein powder, no multivitamins, and yeah, I admit it, sometimes I still have a piece of chocolate after dinner, a small glass of whiskey on cold nights. I never starved myself, never tortured myself over food I liked. People who turn eating into a religion, counting every calorie and feeling guilty every time they sit down at the table, most of them live in misery. In my experience, unhappy people don't last long. There was this doctor, I can't remember the exact year anymore, it was a long time ago. Some young guy, real confident, who once told me that high cholesterol would kill me before I turned 60. I outlived him. I found out when I went to the hospital to visit someone. I just stayed quiet and went home. If you want, go ahead and copy the list. It's the truth. But what I'm about to tell you is a whole lot more important. Nutrition is just a tiny piece of the huge picture. Back when I was driving a taxi, I had a regular customer for 4 straight years. Twice a week, same route to the hospital. I'll never forget his name. Dr. Henderson, a famous nutrition expert. He had books, gave lectures all over the place. That man knew everything about eating. What to eat, what to avoid, exact portions down to the gram, perfect timing for meals. Listening to him on the phone in the back seat, telling his patients to cut this and that, I learned more than I ever did in any college course. One day I asked him straight out, "Doctor, what's the real secret to living long and healthy?" He laughed and said, "Eat healthy, sleep enough, avoid stress." I asked him again, "Do you do all that?" We sat there listening to the engine for a minute. Then he sighed. "I eat well, I sleep well. As for stress, I've never been able to figure that one out." Dr. Henderson died at 72. I drove his wife to the funeral. I still think about him sometimes. The man who knew everything wrote piles of books, but the one thing that killed him was the very thing he knew the name of but could never let go. If a list of good food could save a man and let him live forever, he would have been immortal. But life doesn't work that way. The real answer isn't on the dinner plate. I figured that out because of Anna. We were married for 58 years. Yes, 58 years. I was a good husband in the easy-to-measure way. I went to work, came home, didn't disappear. But every year she would say, "Henry, you're sitting right there on that chair, but you're still driving a taxi. Come home, son." Those words are one of the reasons I'm still here today. When I retired, I sat around doing nothing for months. No shifts, no routes, no responsibilities waiting. I'd wake up, make coffee, sit in the chair, and wait for something to happen. Month after month. Anna would walk by, ask if I wanted coffee, I'd nod, and she'd bring it. That was my whole life back then, just an old retired man waiting to die. If you don't have a purpose waiting for you tomorrow morning, then all you're doing is waiting for your body to follow. Have you ever felt like life was just waiting? I have. And that feeling gets your body ready to do exactly that. One morning, I don't know why, I went out to the backyard. There was a patch of weeds growing near the tomato bed. I pulled it, then another, then more. 2 hours later, I was down on my knees in the dirt, hands covered in mud, breathing hard. When I walked back into the house, Anna was standing at the door. She just looked at me. But I recognized that look. It was the look of a woman who had been waiting for years. I had found a purpose and I held on to it. Purpose doesn't have to be big. It just has to be strong enough to pull you out of the chair. For me, back then, it was that little garden out back. When I turned 70, I started walking 20 minutes every day. I knew every crack in the sidewalk around the neighborhood by heart. Those little habits kept me healthy. If I had just stayed sitting through all those years, you probably wouldn't be hearing this story. Every day I gave myself a reason. Not big reasons, just tiny ones. Like stopping to argue with the neighbor about the baseball team, or putting on an old record at 7 o'clock in the evening, or waiting for the sunlight to hit the window frame at exactly 4 in the afternoon. Things so small they're almost embarrassing, but they kept me here. Every morning I had a reason to wake up, and they gave me purpose. The people I saw leave the fastest were the ones who gave up their purpose and their work at the same time. They just sat down, and their bodies did what they were supposed to do. With full stomachs of clean food, they slipped away quietly. You know, there are days I wonder why I'm still here when so many better people are gone. That's a question I ask myself a lot. I watch my friends leave one by one, some from illness, some from accidents, but most of them because they lost every reason to live. I was different. I kept those small habits, but then everything started getting worse. Anna was getting weaker. She still smiled, still made coffee for me, but I could see she was tired. We argued less, but the distance between us grew. I kept driving the taxi a few more years after I should have retired just because I was afraid to sit at home. Anna would say, "Henry, you're missing real life. You think you're driving passengers, but you're really driving away from yourself." Her words cut into my heart like a knife. I started to realize I had never really come home after I retired. Stress started building up. My health was still okay, but my heart wasn't. Friends in the neighborhood kept dying. The old man next door on the left, the one who played cards with me every Friday night, died from a stroke. The old lady who sold flowers on the corner, the one who always told jokes, passed away after just a cold. Every time I drove to another funeral, I sat in my old taxi, hands gripping the steering wheel tight, wondering when my turn would come. I started to fear that chair at home. Every morning when I woke up, I thought, is there any reason to keep going today? Some days I almost couldn't get out of bed. But then I remembered Anna, remembered the smile she gave me the first time I went out to the garden. I forced myself to stand up, even if it was just to pull a few weeds. In those moments, I'd tell myself, "Henry, you're still alive for a reason. Don't waste it." Time passed faster than I thought. Anna started forgetting things. Sometimes she forgot our son Michael's name. She even forgot how I liked my coffee. I took her to the doctor and heard them say early stage Alzheimer's. My heart shattered. I drove the taxi home in the rain, tears mixing with the rain on the windshield. For the first time in years, I was really scared. Scared of losing Anna. Scared of losing myself. I started spending more time at home, sitting with her, telling old stories. I told her about the drunk passengers, the couples who fought in the back seat, the kids I drove to school. Anna would laugh and squeeze my hand tighter, but her condition got worse. Some nights she'd wake up in the middle of the night and call my name like I was a stranger. I'd hold her and whisper, "It's me, Anna. I haven't gone anywhere." Those nights I didn't sleep. I just sat watching her breathe, thinking, if I lose her, what will I do? The conflict inside me grew stronger. I started getting angry at myself. Angry for spending so many years driving instead of being with her. Angry for all the times I just sat in the chair instead of hugging her. Michael, our son, was already over 60 then. He'd called to check in, but rarely came home. He was busy with work in the big city. I understood, but I was angry too. One time I yelled into the phone, "Son, I'm 100 years old already. Are you coming home or not?" He went quiet, then promised he'd come soon, but soon dragged on forever. The stress built up so high I almost gave up. One morning I sat in the chair with cold coffee, looking out at the garden and not even wanting to pull weeds anymore. I asked myself, "Henry, what reason do you have left to keep going? Your body is tired, your wife is slipping away, your son is distant. Why not just let go?" But then one day everything changed. That was when the stress reached its peak. Anna was in the hospital after a fall. The doctors said her condition wasn't good anymore. I sat by her bed, holding her hand, tears rolling down my face. For the first time in years, I said everything in my heart. "I'm sorry I didn't come home sooner. I'm sorry I let the taxi pull me away for so long." Anna smiled weakly and whispered, "Henry, you're home now. Now stay here with yourself. Don't wait anymore." Her words were like a beam of light cutting through the fog in my head. I realized I was at a crossroads. Either I gave up and sat waiting to die like everyone else, or I chose to really live, even if it was just for the smallest reasons. I squeezed her hand and promised myself, from now on I'm going to find a reason every day. Not because of food or vitamins, but because I'm still alive to love what's left. I brought Anna home after that. We sat together more. I told her funny stories from my taxi days. I told her about the passenger who always told jokes, about the little girl who sang along to the radio. Anna laughed more. I went out to the garden every day, even when my back hurt. I walked my 20 minutes, even when my legs were tired. Those small habits started saving me. But then Anna got weaker. One afternoon in October, she passed away in her sleep. I woke up at 6 like always, made 2 cups of coffee, and set them on the table. I stared at her cup for a long time. The coffee went cold. The light changed. An hour passed. I was still sitting there, still breathing, still here. And I realized the new day wasn't waiting for me. I stood up, went out to the garden, pulled a few weeds, took my walk, then called Michael. We talked not a lot, but enough. Somewhere in that ordinary painful day, I found one small reason. Nothing grand, just enough to keep going. What do you think about the times when life seems to want to pull you down? I've been there, and I chose to stand back up. That's the biggest lesson I ever learned. Purpose in life isn't something far away. It's the small things every day that get you out of the chair. Keep your loved ones close. Find something that makes tomorrow worth waking up for. Eat healthy if you want, exercise if you can, but don't forget to really live. Don't just live to get through the day. A person can live to 115 and still die early in all those years of waiting. Time isn't the enemy. It's the new days that matter most. Have you ever wondered what would happen if there was no reason to wake up tomorrow? I asked myself that, and the answer saved me. Now, after all these years, I still wake up at 6, make coffee, go out to the garden even though I can't kneel anymore. I watch the sun, play old music, sit in the chair and say good morning to the empty chair across from me. Life goes on. But the story isn't over. What happened after that taught me even more. The first days after Anna passed were pure hell. I still did what I had promised her. I still woke up at 6, made 2 cups of coffee, still dragged myself out to the backyard even though my back hurt like someone was stabbing it. I pulled each weed like a machine, walked my 20 minutes around the familiar streets of Oakwood, Illinois, where the winter snow covered the sidewalks white. But my heart was so empty, it scared me. That old leather chair across from me stayed silent. The coffee sat cold on the table, and I sat there for hours, looking out the window and seeing nothing but darkness. Some nights I lay in bed with my eyes wide open, cursing myself quietly. Henry, what kind of fool are you? You think a few weeds and 20 minutes of walking are enough to fill this emptiness? Loneliness isn't something you chase away with small habits. It's like a monster sitting right on your chest, making it harder to breathe. Michael called more often after the funeral. His voice sounded worried, but his job in Chicago still kept him there. Bank meetings, deadlines, I understood it all. I used to be the same, driving a taxi for 41 years, thinking making money was the purpose. Now I see how wrong that was. One evening in November, he came to visit, bringing sandwiches from the usual shop. We sat on the porch in the freezing wind, and he said, "Dad, you should think about a nursing home. They have nurses there, people your age, to talk to." I looked him straight in the eye and laughed bitterly. "Son, I'm not a flower pot for someone to stick in the corner. I have my garden, my chair, my small reasons." Michael stayed quiet, then hugged me. For the first time in years, I saw him cry. We talked late into the night about Anna, about all the birthdays I missed because of late shifts. I told him about an old taxi passenger from back then, an insurance salesman named Thompson, who once told me he lived to 98 just because every morning he promised himself he would call his grandson. Not for money, not for health, just for a 5-minute phone call. Michael nodded, but I knew he didn't really understand yet. The stress started building again. My health began to betray me. The back pain got much worse. My legs shook when I walked. Sometimes I got dizzy and had to hold on to the fence. The doctor at Oakwood General Hospital shook his head. "Mr. Whitaker, at 115, your heart is weak. Your blood pressure isn't stable. We recommend you stay in the hospital for observation." I nodded on the outside, but inside I was boiling. Stay in the hospital, like a body waiting to be buried? I went home, sat in the chair, looked at Anna's coffee cup and thought, "Honey, I'm trying, but why is this so hard?" Then that winter, the disaster hit. One morning while it was still dark, snow falling thick, I went out to the garden to pull the last few weeds before they froze. My foot slipped on a thin patch of ice, and I fell hard. My head hit the tomato plant base and blood ran warm. I lay there, couldn't call anyone, and all I could think was, "Henry, is this the end? No one knows you're lying here. No purpose can save you now." I woke up in the hospital, arms and legs wrapped in bandages, machines beeping. The doctor said I almost didn't make it, broken ribs, mild head injury. They told me, "You need to stay here at least a month, and we may have to move you to a nursing home permanently." That's when everything that had been building up exploded. That was the real climax of my life. I lay on the cold hospital bed, staring at the white ceiling, heart pounding, and I faced myself directly. All those years of waiting, all those times I just sat in the chair, all those small reasons I had clung to, were they enough now? Anna was gone, all my old friends were gone, even the enemies from the old days were gone. I gripped the sheet tight, tears rolling down, and I made the decision, no more lying in the hospital passively waiting to die. No more making Michael bury me with regret. I called him right away, voice shaking but firm. "Son, come home right now, not to bury me, to let me teach you how to live before I go." I need you here, not just once a weekend, but regularly." Michael was quiet for 2 seconds. Then he said, "I'll come, Dad. I'm sorry I made you wait so long. That was the most important decision of my life. Choosing to really live, even though my body was betraying me." Michael took emergency leave from Chicago and stayed at the hospital for 3 full days so we could talk nonstop. I told him all the old stories and urged him not to wait until I was in the hospital to come back to family. After I got out of the hospital, even though I was much weaker, I found a new purpose when the local library invited me to tell stories about my old taxi days to the kids. 12 years after Anna passed, I realized that even after losing your health, your wife, your children, or your friends, a person can still find a reason to keep going if they know how to stand up again. Little things like making coffee, listening to old jazz, telling stories to grandkids, and the children are what kept me here with life. Have you ever wondered whether, after losing the most important person, a new purpose would be strong enough to pull you back up? I asked myself that question hundreds of times. And what do you think? How much of a long life is luck? 90%, or just the remaining 10%, is from your own choices. And you, what reason are you looking for every morning to make waking up worth it? Now it's your turn. What do you think about everything I just told you? Go ahead and comment below with the small reasons you're holding on to every day, like if this story touched you, and subscribe to this channel to hear more real stories from a 115-year-old man still sitting in his old chair in Oakwood. I'm still here, still waiting to hear from you.